Hi, I'm Ashley Victoria Robinson.
And I'm Jay Washington.
And we're here to review Black Lightning Season 2, Episode 6, The Perdi. And if you haven't seen this episode, you might want to come back later because there will be spoilers. A new metahuman named Looker is revealed to have deep ties to Jefferson. Welcome back, Jay Washington!
Thank you for having me back! I'm happy to be back.
Yeah.
I'm always happy to be back to do this. This is always fun.
Aw, you're so sweet. Let's talk about evil white ladies.
I'm glad the white woman said it and not me, because then it would have started off awkward.
It would have been so good if she had that I want to speak to the manager haircut.
Oh, yeah, I was expecting that. I will write a Yelp review. One of the things that I was talking to you about that confused me, I was like, okay, so Perdi isn't actually Looker.
Yeah.
This is Looker. Because everybody thought that Erica Alexander's character would eventually be Looker because of what she does. Mm-hmm. And you're like, oh, okay, this is Looker. Okay, all right.
I don't know if we ever gave Perdi a name,
unless it's just
title.
Yeah, unless it's just Perdi.
Yeah, a superhero name. So I guess this is Looker. Looker is classically an outsider's villain who becomes a team member. Also becomes a vampire at one point. I'm not kidding. Google it.
Yeah,
Comics.
she does become a vampire, yes.
So that would lead me to believe, since there's the heavy implication that we are setting up the outsiders, that maybe we'll get a conversion with her, or maybe she might be a character that sticks around.
Well, she might stick around because the way they're setting up what she does in this episode, how she controls the Sanjay, is it called?
Yeah.
The Sanjay. And so it's seeming like they can set up that to take her out of South Freeland and go into Freeland proper.
Yeah.
So they could be doing that. But it's interesting to see it. And then when you start hearing how long she's been around Freeland and you say, oh, you're one of the original metas with Black Lightning.
I thought it was interesting because obviously the actress is quite young. If you watch Supergirl, you recognize her from that. But they do state that she's been a meta as long as Jefferson has,
right.
30 plus years. She's also the second metahuman that we've met who doesn't age in real time, because we know Tobias doesn't age in real time.
Right, and something about the cocktail, I remember them saying he takes a steroid type cocktail that prevents him from aging, and Looker clearly doesn't age, but Jefferson ages normally.
Yeah.
Like
he looks great, by the way, but yeah.
It was good. It was interesting the way they did the whole dynamic, because now we're seeing outside of just Freeland. Mm-hmm. We kept seeing Freeland, and you hear about other parts.
Yeah.
Now, hopefully, we don't have to go outside of just South Freeland. I don't think there's any need to.
Yeah.
Everything can be contained in that.
Do you think it was weird that Looker's powers are basically Tetracell White controlling the Gem Hadar that we saw on Star Trek Deep Space Nine 20 years ago?
That was a nice deep cut reference,
Thank
even
you.
though I remember that.
Thank you.
It's not really weird. I mean, all you hear of different science fiction and action and fantasy crossing over in some way, shape, or form. And so to see it this way isn't a bad thing at all. I trust the writers. I trust the production when it comes to Black Lightning. So I don't think they'll take a chance that won't pay off.
Cool. How about Gambi coming back? Called it. We called it.
Yeah, we called it. But it was, and I was glad we got to see the flashback of how exactly he got away. So of course he has a Nick Fury car. We established that before.
Yeah.
I know it's two different universes, but he has a Nick Fury car. And instead of cutting a hole out, he just opened the bottom hatch, slid out, and did what he did. And I was like, okay, but the man went. They had a funeral.
Yep.
They talked about him being dead. But he was able to go buy a hotel room with no problem.
Well, I think we have to assume that he has a number of fake IDs and a lot of
fake face?
cash.
What about a fake face?
Sure. He can Mission Impossible himself into a mask. I'm glad that we established that pretty quickly. I think Black Lightning is generally a show that takes its time compared to some of the other Arrowverse shows, but I think this was something that it was good that we got that out of the way quickly. We've seen him be actively involved. He had the drone this episode, so I'm hoping that we get a reveal with Jefferson pretty quickly after this as well.
I mean, it's got to happen. It's eventually got to happen. Things that were transpiring in the episode. It'll have to play out eventually, whether it be the next one or the following ones, but we'll see how that goes. I mean, all this is interesting because, again, we see the majority of this take place in the woods.
Yeah.
Which is it's a night setting. So because normally we get a lot of daytime things, and we didn't get that with this episode.
We also got a lot of Khalil and Tobias this episode in a way that feels like it's moving to a turning point. I like that when Tobias is confronting the Reverend, he's like, are you trying to tell me how to run my business? And it's through that interrogation scene that Khalil finally understands that Tobias made him Painkiller. That's what it's called, right? Painkiller.
Yeah.
All I can think is Painkiller Jane. That's not a DC Comics book. That's an indie book. And I like that he is finally having this revelation as well, since we're moving his and Jennifer's relationship forward this season.
Well, you got to play it back to the beginning of the episode where the councilman that he's bribing, he has him go to the preacher, and the preacher's like, basically, no, I'm not selling the church. Tobias tells Khalil, I need you to kill the preacher.
Yep.
Khalil like, hold on, fam. Well, we got to go through this. Like, wait a minute. Wait, look, there's other ways we can do this. And he was even telling them how it won't look right.
Yep.
You're trying to buy it, then he dies. It definitely will come back to you. And so Khalil is starting to have this change of heart. And it's funny because now I'm seeing it play out after having those conversations I had with everybody knows I've talked about the set visit when I did. And a lot of them were like, oh, you just got to wait to see and things will happen and you'll start to see changes go. And I started to see it now. I'm like, okay, this is what they were talking about, the way Khalil will start seeing Tobias as actually the bad guy.
This feels like a real turning point in the season for me, and I think the episode feels a little stuffed and a little heavy because of that. Like, when we meet Looker and then we return to the Anaya storyline from last season and we learn that they're tied together and we learn about these two clans, and
you mean last episode? Anaya's last season?
Last episode, that's what I meant. I'm sorry, I apologize. And then we learn about like the two clans and that it's this big, we're setting up this big race analogy, and the babies get born and the parents are mad and the dad's got amazing ASL skills. Like there's a lot packed into this episode.
When you break it all down that way, yeah, it is. It's a lot. But even though it is a lot, I dare to say it flows.
I would agree.
It flows. It isn't a lot where you see in some shows and it's just jumbled on top of each other. Everything works. The beats work in this.
Yeah.
The beats work the way they do it. The whole story with Anaya, with the baby, with Anissa, with the clans. And then eventually it ties into Black Lightning coming in.
Yeah.
All those work together, which is a good thing.
I thought it was interesting, and you brought this up during the episode, that you were like, this is why we need better prenatal care.
Yes, I did.
How come no one knows they're having twins?
Because she has twins, and it was like, wait, she's still having contractions. I was like, yep, she's having twins.
Yeah.
And it's dope, too, because I was telling you about the twins. We saw that the twins are metas.
Yep.
And that's thankfully in part to the fact that Deacon was one of the Sanjay due to Looker. So evidently when he impregnated Anaya, he was already under the influence.
He had radioactive sperm.
Yes, he did. He had that glowing man milk. And the glowing man milk, that's just
You're welcome for that.
You're welcome, Internet. But that showed how the babies have their abilities. And I brought up something to you because I was like, yo, the powers only seem to activate it when they touched.
Yeah, oh, the precious babies holding hands. I can't even. They were so cute.
One black, one white, which is great.
Love it.
Love it.
Which I know the internet's going to like light up on fire about how that's not possible, and I implore you to Google something about genetics.
It is very much. It has happened numerous times where there have been twins, and one has come out darker than me, the other's come out as white as Ashley.
Yeah.
It happens.
Humans are weird, and then metahumans are weird. I really enjoy the storyline, though, because we finally get to pay off Anissa's medical training, which is something that we've built in more and more this season, and it's cool to just watch her be a doctor.
It was nice, that I need you to push here. I need you, telling the mom to help out. And then you like the best part when they kicked the daddy out the room after the first baby was born.
It was the best thing. They were like, here's a baby, get the man out of the room. He's no help.
Get out. And it was cool to see that. But one of the best things for me throughout this entire episode was the fight.
Yes.
The fight of Khalil versus Tobias, where at points Khalil was getting up on Tobias.
Well, this is a fight that we've been waiting for so long.
Yes, it is.
And even though at this point narratively there's no way Khalil's going to win, it is gratifying to have him punch Tobias in the face, because Tobias sucker punched him a number of times.
Numerous times. And Khalil just took it in stride until when he started realizing that when Tobias started breaking down different socioeconomical things, and he was like, man, you keep talking. Because he had that look, you keep talking, I'm going to swing on you. And the fight was intense. Even when it got to the point where, so I told Ashley this, I said, oh, that's why the fish tank was gone.
Yep,
Because when I went on set, when I did Sevens, they were already at episode 9 or 10, something like that. And the fish tank was gone. I was like, where's the fish tank? They wouldn't tell us. That explains why the fish tank is gone.
Those poor fish, they're all dead now. There is also, classically in the comics, there are lots of scenes where Tobias Whale winds up inside the fish tank. So I kind of thought it was funny that we did use it for a combative moment, even if it didn't necessarily have to do with Tobias suffering. I loved when Black Lightning finally shows up to the fight with Looker, and he's like, we'll talk about this later, young lady.
He's like, we'll talk about this later. He's still being dad no matter what.
And you brought it up that he does a really great job in this episode of concealing his identity, because he keeps I'll call it a vocoder, I guess.
Yes.
On at all times, even when he's alone and he's speaking to Anissa, just in case, wherever she is, someone might hear her. Like, Ollie could take some real notes from this. And I'll say nothing about how many times Barry Allen has outed himself.
Well, Barry Allen just talks, hey, how you doing?
I'm Flash.
I'm Flash. Good to see you. You want to talk about this later over coffee at Jitters? But I like that because, like you said, he kept that voice going consistently. And we've seen him go in and out of it in different episodes. But now to know, hey, look, I'm still on it. Let me keep it going. Keep this on track, And it was great to see that then he had to tell her, look, I'm running low on juice. I got to let you go.
Yeah. Which is a real concern. Even though he is a living battery, like, it's a real thing that would happen.
But batteries die out of power.
Not rechargeable ones, Jay. That's me being a commenter.
Yeah, oh, no, that's right. Rechargeable batteries do have to be recharged.
Yeah, I know someone's going to say something about batteries. I guess my only real complaint about this episode is it's so open-ended. Like, we know it's leading directly into what's happening next week. And I would have liked a little bit more closure, but if that's the biggest concern, I think it was pretty good. So let's move right into the rating, Jay. On a scale of 1 to 5 lightning bolts, what are you going to give whatever this episode's called? I've already forgot. The Perdi.
Based off what you just said, how it is open-ended, but also goes back to what we learned what this season was going to be, different books, different chapters. So everything is not going to be a self-contained episode. Yeah. It's not going to be a villain of the week, The Flash. It's not, but I hate that people are like, why you should pick it on Flash? Because it does those things.
Because it's so easy.
It's so simple. But it does those things. But this doesn't have to always be self-contained. And again, I like what they did. I like the effects. I like the whole, the keeping the voice is one of the biggest things for me. And I'm always, y'all know I love the show, so what we gonna think is gonna be 5 out of 5?
I would definitely agree. And what I like about this episode is, even though I did say that it was very crammed, I like that we're opening up the mythology of the world in the biggest way that I feel like we've done since season 1.
Yes.
It's very, very exciting. All right, Jay, tell people where they can find you all over the internet and tell you what they really think about The Flash.
Definitely. Bring it on. No, find me on Twitter and Instagram at Mr. J Washington. It's MRJAY. You should know how to spell Washington. If you don't, something's just wrong. My YouTube channel, youtube.com/JAY-Washington80. I'm getting ready to put up some new content. Things have been real hectic with filming, shows, all those different things. So I got a bunch of stuff I'm going to put up for you guys. Also, check out the Mad Titan podcast. Anywhere you get your podcast, listen. I get you caught up on everything in the Marvel and DC, live action TV, and cinematic universes.
Also, don't forget that we are still running the Jawiin comic drive for service members. There's full information down in the description of this video. Go and donate to the service members, the real heroes fighting overseas, recovering in hospitals, and their families here at home. Yes. And to support us directly, go to patreon.com/Jawiin. Come join us in the Hall of Justice to be a super friend. And Jay and I will see you next week.